How the Grinch Stole Christmas is considered a classic now in terms of discussing Christmas movies, and it has to be watched at least once per year around the holidays. The live action film is beloved by so many, and I'm somebody who I need to see it at least once a year, especially around the holidays, maybe even more during the year, whatever, because it's so good. I don't know what they did, but they literally captured magic in a bottle, in a sense, in terms of this film, in terms of the aesthetics, Ron Howard directing it, the way he went about the actual sets and everything, and of course, Jim Carrey as the Grinch is the best thing, of course, about the film. I have a Grinch movie question for you. How many times did Jim Carrey put on the makeup to be the Grinch in the film? I'm in the middle of doing my review, but anyways, I know he talked about it. I don't know. 100 times. That is insane. I knew it. I suck at this. It's okay because that was a harder question, but tomorrow, Lala on their Discord server is hosting a holiday movie trivia night. A holiday movie trivia night? I bet I could win. I don't know, because I'm going to be competing too. It's starting at 6 p.m. PST tomorrow on their Discord server. What are the prizes? What do you win? There's a variety of prizes from 1st to 5th place, including AMC movie tickets and Rib Awards points. I think you've talked about that, where Lala has that program, Rib Awards, where you earn points and you can turn it in for AMC movie tickets, merch, or other things, right? Also, the top 3 winners get merch as well. I'm an RSVP right now. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that as well. Let me do that right now. Great. By the way, we're not the same person. I'm actually a clone of his. Going back to the look of the film, I don't know what it is, but I just love the look of Whoville in this movie. I'm not sure how they pulled this off because it feels lived in, it feels chaotic. Of course, Christmas time, all the Who's are freaking out about Christmas and all the shopping and all the mayhem. But it was so cool. Like, I want to go visit Whoville, like this version of it, just the way it looks. I just thought it was so cool. I remember seeing the movie for the first time, just like blown away by how it felt real in a sense, even though I know it's a movie, so it's make-believe, it's, magic or whatever. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, but it really felt real in a sense, in terms of like, this is a real place, and obviously it's not, but it was just really, really cool. Obviously, when you're talking about this film, you're going to talk about Jim Carrey as the Grinch, which we'll get to in a second, don't worry. But I want to talk about Cindy Lou Who, who's basically the co-lead of this movie, because this little girl did so good in this movie, because let's say that her chemistry wasn't great with Jim Carrey, or the way she delivered her lines was not as charming or as, great as she did, because let's be honest, she did a great job as playing this character and bouncing off of Jim Carrey and the craziness of the Grinch and everything, and just how that character is. If it just wasn't working, this movie wouldn't feel the same. It would feel like, well, Jim did a great job, but everything else, because it's like Cindy Lou Who and then everything else in terms of the actual other characters, because her character in this movie, not talking about the book, of course this is based off of, but just the movie, her character is so vital. And if she didn't work, if it just wasn't working, it would have felt odd. So thankfully, it all works out. Jim Carrey by far is the best part of this movie, but everybody did a great job. Everybody did great with their parts. But Jim Carrey, I don't know what it is, he captured something here. Like, Jim Carrey's always been great. He's always been great with comedic roles and even dramatic roles as well. But something happened here specifically. And it's crazy when you hear all the backstory in terms of how it was chaotic about doing all the makeup and everything, and how he had to have a trainer essentially who basically was training him to deal with the torture, because it was just maddening for him, because he just like, I can't do this. And he still pulled off this phenomenal performance as the Grinch. And it was smart when they attempted to do another Grinch film recently with Benedict Cumberbatch voicing him in animation. That was smart, because if you were to try to do a live action film now, even now in 2023, it would be immediately compared to Jim Carrey. I feel like there has to be a lot more time separated between this film versus maybe another live action attempt down the road, because Jim Carrey just did it perfection. Benedict did a pretty good job in the animated voice of the Grinch and everything, and that film, I think, is solid for what it is. But this film cannot be touched in terms of when you think of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the story, what they pulled off in this movie. I don't think it could be done as well as this film is. I think even today, if they attempted it, it would just be seen as, oh, they're just trying to copy Ron Howard's version. They're trying to copy Jim Carrey's performance, which I don't think that's what they would do if they tried to do another live action, which I feel like at some point they're going to. But what Jim Carrey pulled off here is truly something iconic, because he made you feel creeped out by the Grinch, but you also care about this character. You actually want to know what's like what happened in his backstory, and when they do the flashbacks and everything, like you really care for this character even though you're not supposed to. You know, it's an interesting line there, and I think the book captured that as well. But what Jim Carrey pulled off here, I mean, I don't think it can be topped in terms of live action, because when you see Grinch performers now going out at like parks or whatever, you see like videos on TikTok and stuff of people doing live action Grinch appearances. They're just trying to do Jim Carrey. That's what they're doing. They're not trying to do Grinch like a different version or try something different. They're literally just trying to mimic him. And I get it, because it's so iconic, everyone knows it, but you know, it's like they're just trying to copy Jim Carrey. It's so good. I just can't get enough of his performance as the Grinch. Now, in terms of like the actual story and pacing, now obviously the story is pulled from the book, but the pacing is very well done, because it could have came across at, okay, we're hitting certain points in the story where we're trying to do something different, or we're trying to get to that next beat, and it's kind of a lull moment. There isn't any moment in this film where I'm like, you know, this could be changed, or this could be rushed on, or this could have been expanded. I think everything was supposed to, like, every scene was intended to be what it is to be. Like, what I mean is, there wasn't a moment where I'm like, you know, like, that they could have done something different. I think they did so good with what they pulled off here in terms of keeping people engaged, keeping the audience engaged with the story, and you care about these characters, and you're following all the narratives. There isn't a lot of those, like, different story points or whatever going on at once, but you get what I'm saying? Like, every single character, you understand their kind of role in the movie, and what their intention is, and where they're going from A to B in terms of the film. It's very well done on that aspect, because they literally could have just said, okay, we're just going to focus on the Grinch and Cindy Lou Who and then a couple other characters, but we're done. They make a point to have it really connected with a variety of characters throughout the narrative, that you understand their connection to this character and this character, and not every single character has an interaction or necessarily a connection to another character, but it all works out for the best. It really does. So I appreciate and applaud the film for doing that, because they literally could have just focused on the Grinch. Like Ron Howard, the director, could have went, let's just focus on the Grinch, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. Cindy Lou Who, sure, but that's it. Like, no, we really dive into some of the other characters and their motives and everything. It really works out for this film. Overall, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is a fun and exciting film, and it's so good to watch during the holidays, and even just in general, just to watch it, because it's so good with its message and what it delivers. And just Jim Carrey, like I said, as the Grinch, is so good. He's phenomenal performance-wise in this movie. It is a classic. I'm so glad it's a classic. I'm so glad that people love and embrace it, because it really deserves it, in my opinion. It really does. And there was rumors of them doing a sequel with Jim Carrey returning. It got turned down. They're saying it's false. But if they were ever to do a sequel to The Grinch with Jim Carrey returning and Ron Howard returning as director, I'd be on board. I'm not sure if you would follow the sequel book that has recently come out. I think you maybe do something different, at least in my opinion. But I don't know where you go from it. But I think if they were ever to do it, I'd be on board. I'd be game. But maybe it's best to leave it as it is, as it's intended to be originally, as a standalone story, because the ending, I think, is great. It ended the way it's supposed to be in terms of this movie. Because they could have maybe changed the ending or something. Like, they could have maybe did something else. But I think the ending is perfect for this film. So that's my little discussion, my little review for the film. I wanted to talk about it here today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.